Hello, everybody. This is Karen here.
And this is Mae.
And we are from
Boomers to GenZ.
So we're going to talk about that conversation if your child, a curious child, is asking about someone's change of sex. Am I right?
Yes.
So don't go away. You might want to listen to this. Okay. So I understand recently your son, Zach, asked you about someone that he knows who was a female and then now is legally considered as a man. And that must be a conversation that was very awkward for you.
Yeah, so I understand that all people are different. The conversation kind of went along the lines of, okay, so like when we met this person, he was a she, and now she really wanted to be a guy. She felt like inside she was actually more of a man.
Okay.
And she likes girls. So what she has done is she's changed her body to fit her, what she believes of herself, how she actually sees herself.
Right.
And Zach would have the cutest reaction. He was like, yeah, sometimes I wonder what it's like to be a girl.
Oh. And what was the reason?
He was just curious to know like how girls think. But then that's when I realized that he's just being a kid about it. And he was just saying that because obviously like with my friend, her mentality was already that she is a man.
Okay.
Like she sees herself
she identifies
she sees herself as a guy. So yeah, it's not so much of like wondering how girls think because the mentality is the same.
Right.
But I think that I don't know. I'm all for it. I have friends who are gay. There's friends who like whatever your preference is. Like I have no judgment. But then I noticed that I must say I'm a bit judgmental when it comes to my own kid.
Oh, okay. How is that?
And I'm struggling with that. I think that like when as a mom, like for me at least, like when I had Zach, I know that okay, you're supposed to just love the child for who the child is and whatnot. But I knew that I was having a son. Like I am gonna have a baby boy. And my baby boy is gonna do these things and that things, and he's gonna get married one day, and then he's gonna, that's how I envision it for him. So then like if one day he were to come and tell me that, Mama, I think I want to be a girl, or that changes what I've created in my mind, and that can be difficult, and I think it's okay for me to think that it might be difficult.
It is so difficult. I think it is very, very hard for us as parents to come to terms, because we all have our own version of how we want our family to be and how things are. So to have some and maybe if your son or your daughter comes to you and say, well, I don't think I identify myself as a, let's say, a female, I want to be a man, I think that is such a shock to both parties, the receiver as well as the person who has decided that. My question to you is, now that you are a parent, and if he does come to you and say that, what do you think you would say?
If he comes to me at a certain age, I would ask him to wait. I would tell him to go along living his life as if maybe, like act out the mentality. But in terms of like physical changes, to maybe put a hold on it. I know that when I speak to people who have these desires, they have a very strong belief. They already, in their mind, they already know. A lot of, at least for me, the ones I've encountered, they don't have regrets. If they know that they are supposed to transition, it kind of sticks with them. And the more that we keep them in the closet, actually, the worse it gets. But for me, just because in my belief system, I don't think that I stuck to anything that I wanted when I was 16. For that reason, I would tell him to at least wait, and also to wait until he's experienced a little bit more. So maybe college life, a first job, a few more environments until he wanted to make a decision about his identity.
So you're saying what, 16?
No, I'm saying like 25. 30. 25.
25. Okay. So I think I know where you're getting to. I mean, my view is, especially if they're teenagers, is it possible is due to pressure from society or influences from whatever, whether it's friends or that kind of thing. And I'm not talking so much about the age, but rather the need to have proper counseling before that final decision of doing that sex change, because it's not easy to keep to reverse and all that, right? So so I think the counseling portion is very, very important. And I'm not sure if that's available here in Malaysia, because this is something very I mean, it's huge it's very, very detrimental if not done properly. So, for instance, the person who wants to do the change, counseling has to be done to make him or her understand the consequence, the the core reason why that person want to do that change, and that they know what is the 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 process is like. It is not going to be beautiful. It may not be very effective, and all the risks and reward, like you would when you venture into anything. You want to weigh out your pros and your cons and things like that, right? But also counseling for whether it's the parents or the close family members to slowly accept the entire idea, because it is a shock. It is real shock, because we gave birth to a boy, and then suddenly you're having to wrap around your head that, oh, that is now a female, and so something to really think about, right?
And then I asked myself, like, okay, like, what if he was like gay? I think that that's easier to accept because physically he still looks the same. But honestly, even that I would struggle. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
I would be
school than I am.
I would actually be like a little like upset. I think that I would need time. I would obviously be okay. I think any situation I would be okay with it. But I must be honest with myself that I would be a bit.
It will take time.
Because I dreamed like, okay, maybe because of the way I had Zaki, like I just really want him to have all the things I don't have. So again, it's just me kind of like living through him, projecting my wants. And that's the crazy thing about, I think, having kids that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, is as much as like, you know, you buy a puppy and the puppy is yours. You own the puppy can wear the bowl that you want. You know, you can teach the dog to do exactly what you want. But when you have a child, like, he's not mine. Like, he becomes his own person, and it comes to a point that I have to accept it. Like, I brought you into this world for you to be your own person, not my person.
Yeah, and that's something that I think all parents have to really wrap their head around, me included, is that we really are just a vessel for them to come out to this world, but they are their own person. They have their own ideals and likes and dislikes, and we as parents have to also accept that. But also there must be some form of boundary as well, or rather some form of guide, so that we you know, whether we want to question whether is that you want to know that it's something that is that really what they want, is that what makes them happy. And I think that comes with some time and some form of counseling, whether it is even to accept a child who may be gay or lesbian. Although in the big picture of things, it's a little bit easier to accept, like you said, but it's still a transition. It's still a mind shift, because maybe we have more traditional ideas that it should be a man and a woman.
Yeah, and if for someone who's straight, it's unnatural to me, right? Like, I do not understand it. And like, I think that I don't know, like, I get asked this question because, like, you know, like in my friend groups and stuff, and I always have to just really be honest and say, like, it is going to be hard, because I think that one thing that, like, on a kid's aspect that the kid doesn't see, because the question is always, why can't you accept me for who I am? Why don't you love me for who I am? The thing is that, like, when I had the baby in my stomach for all of those months, I have already thought about you. I've already thought about what you're going to be like. I have had dreams about you. From the time that you are born, I am revolving my life almost around you, the things that you need. So you have become so much of my being when I am just a vessel in your being.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, kind of give parents a little time to understand that, because it's as much, you might think about me just 20%, but I think about you like 80%.
80%.
Like everything that the decisions that we make, and like, of course we imagine things, and then when you go ahead and do things that are outside of what we imagined for you, like it is hard.
I think that is such a good point, me, because for those of you who are listening and you are probably you're thinking you want to talk to your parents that being gay or lesbian or changing sex and all those things, do understand that for the parents, it's like when you come to the world, you represent all their hopes and dreams. You represent all the good things in their life, and essentially we want the very best for you, and it takes some, because we are not perfect human beings too, which means we do need some time to absorb and understand. And so it is wise that you consider talking to your parents and seeing that you know, like, get them to see your point of view and what is driving you to decide to do something like that. So when saying that it's about having that conversation and be understanding with your parents and make sure that they have time to absorb this new information. Don't expect that, oh yeah, we love you and we're gonna embrace it immediately. There will be a shock. There will be that time of they will question, and you might be irritated with the questions that they pose. But try to put yourself in their position where their imagined life for you and the imagined all the things that they have set out for you, like overnight,
Breaking.
like it's just overnight heartbreaking for them, and it is heartbreaking for them at that point, although you may not feel that way.
And I think that, like, depending on the age group, either way, like I'm a young mom and Karen has daughters who are like my age. I think that there is that one thing in common, right, for like parents. And instead of you feeling like, oh, they don't understand who I am, and then you start rebelling, or you put yourself in dangerous situations, or you move away from the family, like if you've already had this eureka moment of who you're going to be, it's not hard to actually apologize to your parents for sort of like killing the version of you that
they have expected.
It's not wrong, because as much as you want them to like sympathize with you, maybe reach out a hand and sympathize with them. Acknowledge their feelings as well, instead of two heads going against each other. Because pulling away, or making yourself like depressed because you don't feel like accepted, and all of the mental health issues, it's not going to benefit you, and actually it's going to still keep hurting them. So find a way to
that is really powerful, like really acknowledging what they are feeling, so that you are not dismissing that what they're feeling, but at the same time you are acknowledging that you have, I mean, look, it is it's not, it may be a bit of disappointment, maybe a bit of hurt, because that will be the initial feeling. You can't help it. There's I always say that until you are a parent, you really won't know those feelings. So and it does come, and it's not and it's unintentional. It's not like purposeful. It will just, for some reason, that's the feeling that we will get. And that is because fundamentally all parents want the best for their children. They always think that they know best in that sense. So if you are in that situation, and you need to understand how your parents are accepting that information, allow them some time to digest that information, and slowly kind of show them how happy you are, and how how that person is making you happy, or being that version of new you, how that makes you. And they will slowly come around if they love you enough and they value you as a person. They will eventually come around, but it does take time. It does take a lot of work and a lot of open conversations. And there are, of course, I know being Asian, there's some very typical traditionalist ideas, and some parents can use finances to control you, whether it's like this not giving you your inheritance or disowning you, that kind of thing. I think it can happen, and that's something that when you look at all this, you need to broach it in a respectable way and slowly let that person see what they will miss out if they cannot embrace you, provided you know where you are coming from first. I think that's
very true.
Because if you are still unsure, it's best that you look at how you can get the right counseling, the right answers to really decide if this is who you are. Right?
I think we had a lot of good points today. We went super deep.
Very deep. So given that it's just a conversation that we from our lives and how we experience certain things, and I think that is super important that we have those conversations, because from different perspective, from someone in the 20s, myself in my 50s, and how we can accept and make our family life better, and understanding the world at large and how the changes are coming through. So until then, do like and subscribe